Rabotai, what did we spoke in a previous shiur? I would like to summarize just what we spoke in the last shiur, so we'll understand what's happening. At the beginning of chapter 14, because today we're going to learn about chapter 15. At the beginning of chapter 14, we learn that King Saul been chosen to be the king of the Jewish people, and the Almighty actually given him the first test in Emunah. Also, we explained that his son, Jonathan, killed the commissioner in his province. He killed him, and the Philistine, look at it as a coup and a sign for war, and they're coming to a place that's called Michmash, with a great army, with a great strong army. And King Saul, when he saw that, he suddenly remembered what the prophet told him. That the prophet told him that anytime that he's going to be in a situation like this, in dire strait, immediately he must go to the place that's called Gilgal. Gilgal is in the south of Israel. We'll explain later on where is it. And he must wait 7 days by the Gilgal, because that's where was the altar, until the prophet will come, and then the prophet himself will sacrifice on the altar the sacrifice, and that's how HaKadosh Baruch Hu will reveal to him the prophecy, what to do and how to act in that situation. On the 7 days, when Shaul saw that the prophet actually getting delayed and doesn't come on time, he have a lot of pressure. What's happening in Eretz Israel? What's happening that people decide that every day he lost 200 soldiers that disappear. He lost over 1,400 soldiers. He left with 600. And the pressure that was on him, it was unbelievable. He decided that he going to do the sacrifice himself. And on the 7 days that he brought the sacrifice himself. As King Saul finished to sacrifice the offering, immediately appeared the prophet Samuel. And the prophet Samuel said to him, what did you done? What did you done? Now I cannot get my prophecy, and I have no ability to help, because you sacrificed the korban. You brought the korban yourself. I can't help you anymore. Shaul HaMelech and all of his soldiers going up to the place, to the Michmash, and basically camping across on the other mountain from the Philistine to see what's going to happen. In the meantime, his son Jonathan, without letting anyone except his carrier, the boy that helped him to carry his weapon, okay, decide to go and to sacrifice themselves and to strike, to start the war with the Philistine. And that's what they really done. And without anyone knowing, they start the war. HaKadosh Baruch Hu actually made the miracle and the salvation, and the Jewish people actually managed to win in that war against the Philistine. And not only that, that Philistine started to run for their life. As the sunset as the day finishing and it started to get sunset, in daytime they never used to fight at night. We explain what happened, that Shaul HaMelech first of all make a decree that no one allowed to eat. It's going to be a fast day until the night. But he didn't know if to continue fighting to chase the Philistine to finish the job or not. He decided that he's going to ask in Urim and Tumim, he's going to ask the Almighty on a breastplate. And when he asked, he see that there's no answer coming. Immediately he realized that someone broke the oath that he took on the soldier, that no one allowed to eat immediately what he decides to do is doing a lottery. And a lottery, I'm making it short, his son Jonathan been found guilty, and Shaul HaMelech made a decree that whoever going to find that he eaten from on that fast day, his punishment going to be death. And then, only then, after so long that the Jewish people keep quiet, suddenly they approach Shaul HaMelech and they convince him that he can't kill his son. Not only that he can't kill his son, because his son, the salvation of the Jewish people happened because of Jonathan, his son. He started the war. And then they decide that they're going to redeem Jonathan. And that's how we ended last week. Rabotai, today we're going to speak about chapter 15. Chapter 15 actually speak about the war with Amalek, the war against Amalek. It's a very famous chapter that we read it every year in a Shabbos before Purim. The Shabbos before Purim, we read about it. That's the Haftarah actually. And that's what we're going to learn today, but the only difference that we're going to learn it in depth. So בעזרת השם נעשה ונצליח, והשם עלינו ברחמיו ירוויח. Jeffrey, don't forget to unmute your microphone. ויאמר שמואל אל שאול, אותי שלח אדוני למושכך. אוקיי? למלך על עמו, על ישראל, ואתה שמע לכל דברי אדוני.
Samuel said to Saul, Hashem sent me to anoint you as king over his people, over Israel. So now hear the sound of Hashem's words.
Basically, what's happening here, the prophet Samuel said to King Saul, listen, remember, HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent me to anoint you to become a king on a Jewish people. And now that you're a king, you have an obligation, okay, to listen to what the Almighty telling you. Okay, please obey the command of the Almighty. That's the pshat of the dvarim. In our language, what's happening here? Here, HaKadosh Baruch, here the prophet Samuel said to King Saul, listen, this is your second chance. HaKadosh Baruch Hu giving you a chance. Because you obey his command that you sacrifice by yourself, you sacrifice the korban by yourself, and you didn't wait for me, that was a sin. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu giving you another chance, okay? Now, please listen and obey all the command of the Almighty. But the Mefarshim asks something very interesting. If you look at this verse, there's something very interesting. Look what it said. Vayomer Shmuel el Shaul, Oti shalach Hashem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent me, okay? Lemoshchecha. That means to anoint you. The question of the Mefarshim say, why, sorry, it's here, something that bugged me. The Mefarshim say that why the prophet have to tell King Saul that he anointed him. What is the hiddush? Why? King Saul doesn't know that the prophet anointed him. What's the hiddush here? That's the question of the Mefarshim. What's happening here? So the Mefarshim explain that here actually Prophet Samuel saying to King Saul, listen to me, and listen to me very, very carefully. I'm the one that anoint you to become a king. That's me, and that have application. That means that have application to it, effect to it. And the effect to it is that you obligated to obey the command of the Almighty. And has v'shalom, if you don't obey the command of the Almighty, it's going to be my responsibility. I have the accountability on you. By that I anoint you, I took responsibility on you. basically. And Rabotai, there is nothing worse that when a rabbi appoints one of his students to continue his way, and the student doesn't continue the way of the rabbi. What does it mean? It can be with any business that the director appoint one of the managers to take over his business or to take over the company, and he doesn't do exactly what he should do. That's exactly what the prophet Samuel stays to Shaul HaMelech, saying to Shaul HaMelech. It's here in this war against Amalek. If Shaul HaMelech, Has v'Shalom, not going to stand on the tish that HaKadosh Baruch Hu going to give him, it's going to be a major problem for Shmuel HaNavi. Why? Because Shaul is the king now, but Shmuel anointed him. Shmuel took accountability on King Saul. And if he's not going to fulfill the command of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the prophet Samuel said to him that he's going to die earlier. And not only that, you as a king, so you're going to lose your crown. You're not going to be any more king. But there's something even deeper than that, say the prophet to Shaul HaMelech. He said that the tikkun olam, that the rectification of the world, that means the final redemption, depends on you. If you're going to annihilate the Plishtim, the Amalekim, or not. If you're going to annihilate the nation of Amalek, or not. That means that you have great responsibility here. If you're not going to obey the command of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you're going to lose your crown. Number two, the prophet's going to die in a young age. Number three, the tikkun olam that's supposed to be the final redemption going to be delayed. That's how the Mefarshim explain. Let's see what's happening in verse 2. And in verse 2, the prophet saying to the King Saul, Ko amar Adonai Tsefaot, פקדתי את אשר עשה עמלק לישראל, אשר שם לו בדרך בעלותו ממצרים.
So said Hashem, the master of legions, I have remembered what Amalek did to Israel. That was the ambush him placed against him on the way, Israel, as he went up from Egypt.
Okay, thank you, Jeffrey. Sorry, I was too fast. In this verse, the prophet telling King Saul that the Almighty remember what Amalek done to the Jewish people after they left Egypt in the wilderness, how they ambushed those that was outside the cloud of glory. ויזנב בך כל הנחשלים אחריך. What does it mean? That he killed those that was weak, those that didn't have any energy. Why? Because the Mefarshim explained that that was the Erev Rav, that the cloud of glory, number one, didn't allow them to get in. Number two was that those that have Tum'ah, that was Tme'im for whatever reason, couldn't be inside the cloud of glory, they was outside. And those who Amalek attacked, that's the pshat of the Dvarim. But here he says something very interesting, and that's what we must focus. The verse starts like this, Ko amar Adonai Tsevaot, the word Tsevaot. What does Tsevaot mean? Tsevaot means army, but it means something even greater than that. Hazal telling us, the mystical rabbi explained that it represents Midat HaNetzach, the character trait, okay, of eternity, kingship. What is the connection to kingship, eternity? What is why did the prophet have to say to Shaul, listen, you have to use the character trait of kingship, like HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The same like HaKadosh Baruch Hu revealed to us, sometime b'midat hanetzach, like a king, you also have to act with that. What was the Hidush? Say the Mefarshim like this. Amalek, when he came to fight with the Jewish people in the wilderness, say Hazal that he caused that Hazal actually bringing analogy that what he done, he was the first one to jump to a boiling water. That means that he cooled down the heat of the water. What does it mean? I will explain. The mystical Rabbi explained like this. We all know about the holy name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that called Shem Havaya, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. When Amalek came to fight with the Jewish people in a wilderness, after all the world saw what's happening, everyone was afraid. We say it in Shirat Hayam. Everyone was scared of the Jewish people and frightened from the Almighty that He's the King of the Jewish people. Came Amalek and fight. And what he done, he actually tried to show that there's nothing to fear. And by that, what it caused a coolness in the heart of people not to be afraid from the Almighty. The mystical Rabbi explained in their term, what is he done? He took the holy name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that been built from 4 letters, Yud, K, Vav, K, and he actually caused a split, a separation between the Yud K and the Vav K. Okay? By that he managed to separate that, there's not anyone can do the job except you, Saul. The prophet said to King Saul, only you, king, you can only defeat that nation. Not only that, let me explain to you why. We have to understand, what is Amalek come from? Amalek was the son of Eliphaz. Eliphaz was the son of Esau. That means Amalek was from the descendants of Esau. The Mefarshim ask, okay, I understand that. But from all the 12 tribes, you chose only one, the tribe of Binyamin. Why Dafka? The Mefarshim explain like this. In the meeting between Yaakov Avinu and Esau, everyone bowed down to Esau. The only one that didn't bow down to Esau was Binyamin, the son of Yaakov Avinu. Why? Simply because Binyamin never born. Said the prophet to Shaul HaMelech, you from the descendants of Binyamin, you can do the final job. You can actually do Tikkun Olam. What it means, Tikkun Olam? The final redemption is in your hand. You have to annihilate, and you're the only one that can annihilate the nation of Amalek. No one else. Say the Mefarshim, that's why here in this verse, the prophet used the word Tzevaot, because Tzevaot referring to kingship, to eternity. And that's the job of Binyamin. Okay? Let's go to verse 3. And in verse 3, the prophet said to Shaul HaMelech, Ata, lech v'ikita et Amalek. והחרמת את כל אשר לו, ולא תחמול עליו, והמתת מאיש עד אישה, מעולל ועד יונק, משור ועד צה, מגמל ועד חמור.
Now, go and strike down Amalek and destroy everything he has. Have no pity upon him. Kill man and woman alike, infant and suckling alike, ox and sheep alike, camel and donkey alike.
If you look at this verse, in the Pshat of the Dvarim, we see that the prophet telling King Saul, listen, you have a job to annihilate the entire nation of Amalek. But not only that, you kill everyone, men, women, young, old, it doesn't make a difference. Don't have and don't feel any mercy. You're obligated to kill. But with that come a different thing. You have to kill also their flock. All their flock, the kosher animal, non the kosher animal. You obligate to kill all the animal. And here become two questions that we have to understand, that the Mefarshim ask. The Mefarshim say, question number one, the story with Binyamin and Esav happened many years ago. I mean, Nachon that Yaakov Avinu bowed down to Esav when he was journeying back from Haran back to Eretz Israel. But since then it was many years. Why since then none of the descendants of Binyamin been told to kill the descendants of Esav, that's the nation of Amalek? Why HaKadosh Baruch Hu told the prophet that he have to tell King Saul that he was from descendants of Binyamin? Now it's the time. Why dafka now? Question number one. Question number two that asked the Mefarshim, understand to kill the entire nation of Amalek, to annihilate them. We have a mitzvah. Timhe et zecher Amalek mitachat hashamayim. Okay, that's a positive command from the Torah. I understand. But why to kill also all the animal, the flock, the animal, the wild animal, domestic animal, kosher, non-kosher, kill them all? Two valid questions that we have to look in depth into it. So the first question that we ask, why now? The Mefarshim explain something extraordinary, that the children of Israel spiritually was not ready until this moment to kill the nation of Amalek, to annihilate them. Spiritually, they wasn't ready to annihilate them. Said the Mefarshim, only in a time, in a generation of King Saul, the nation was ready. My humble opinion, it's because they was very united in that time. And we saw it all the time, that when Jonathan killed the commissioner of the Philistine, no one complained. When Jonathan been found guilty that he tasted from the honey, his father wanted to kill him. All the nation of Israel was united and plead to King Saul not to harm him. Not only that, the nation of Israel redeemed Jonathan. We explained what does it mean redeem. We explained that some of them given gold according to his weights. Some of them sacrificed, they done korbanot towards that. We explained that some of them took. It was all different. What do we see from him? And that's my humble opinion. If you want to accept it or not, you don't have to. That you know why spiritually, in a time of Shaul HaMelech, in a time of King Saul, they was ready to annihilate the nation of Amalek because they was united. The Jewish people was united more than ever. Now we're going to go to the second question that we asked. Second question was, why why the Almighty command to kill all the animals, the flock that kosher, those that not kosher? Why? What's the Hiddush here? Why do you have to kill the animal? So I saw two different ideas. One is kind of the pshat of the dvarim, and one more on a deeper, more on a mystical level that we're going to bring. So the one answer that the Mefarshim bring, that you know why HaKadosh Baruch Hu command Shaul to kill all the animals? So people not going to say, other nation not going to say, you see, the Jewish people become rich. The Jewish people have the animal of the nation of Amalek. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear the name Amalek. The name of Amalek mustn't be mentioned. In much deeper meaning, the mystical Rabbi explained, Chachmei Asod explained, that the nation of Amalek, Asku Bekishuf, they was involved with witchcrafting, sorceries, okay? They was magician, and they knew how to turn, listen to that, Rabotai, what Chachmei Kabbalah say, they used to turn themselves to animal, kosher animal. That means, in 1 second, a person is a human being. With sorcery or witchcrafting or magician, like happened in Egypt, that they used to turn the stick to alligator, they used to turn themselves to kosher animal. Said the mystical rabbi, if they was turning themselves to animal, HaKadosh Baruch Hu knew that they're dealing with sorcery, witchcrafting, and magician. If they wouldn't kill them, they'll get the chance, they will turn back to human being and run away. From the other way, when you kill those animals, you don't killing animal. Who you killing? You're killing the Amalek nation. And that's why the Almighty command Saul to kill every animal that belong to the nation of Amalek. So now we understand the two questions. Let's go to verse 4. Wow, the time is running like you can't believe. Okay. And in verse 4, it says something very interesting. Look what it says. וישמע שאול את העם, ויפקידם בתלאים 200,000 רגלי, ו10,000 איש יהודה.
Saul had all the people summoned, and he counted them through lambs, 200,000 infantrymen, and the men of Judah were 10,000.
Okay. On the pshat of the dvarim, the prophet tells us that King Saul recruited from the nation of Israel 200,000 soldiers. But from the tribe of Yehuda, he recruited 10,000. Why? To fight with the nation of Amalek. That's pshat of the dvarim. But we have the question become, I don't understand. The tribe of Yehuda is not part of the Jewish people, the rest of the nation? Why, when it's speaking about all the other 11 tribes, it's 200? Or the 10, because Shevet Levy never gone to a war. But when it's come to the tribe of Yehuda, it tells us specifically the 10,000 from that tribe join a soldier to the army. What is the Hidush here? That's the question of many of the Mefarshim. Why the tribe of Yehuda been mentioned separately from the rest of the nation? So I saw the answer. There's many answers, but one of the answers that I saw it's in Metudot David. Metudot David, again, it's Rabbi David Alchela. He born in Galicia 327 years ago. And he explained, you know why the prophet telling us the tribe of Yehuda separately? Very simple. The tribe of Yehuda didn't accept King Saul as a king. Why? Because the tribe of Yehuda knew that the ultimate king had to be from the tribe of Yehuda. Therefore, they didn't accept Saul as a king on him, because they knew that the king had to be from the tribe of Yehuda. And we saw after King Saul, that was a king for 2 years, all the other king was from the tribe of Yehuda. Until Malchut Israel been split and then was completely havoc in the Jewish people, we're not talking about it. We'll speak about it, Be'ezrat Hashem, please God, when we do Sefer Melachim. Say the Metudot David, that's why when the prophet mentioned all the soldiers, he mentioned that from 10 tribes was 200,000. But from the tribe of Yehuda, only 10,000. So now we understand why they've been mentioned separately. Let's go to verse 5, and here we see something very interesting. ויבוא שאול עד עיר עמלק, וירד בנחל.
Saul came to the city of Amalek, and he fought them in the valley.
The Mefarshim telling the prophet tell us that King Saul came to the valley, yeah, and he found with the nation of Amalek in the valley. Why Dafka in the valley? Why is the prophet putting emphasis on that Saul fight with the king of Amalek in the valley? What's the Hidush here? So the Mefarshim explaining these two different interpretations. I'm going to bring first the one from the Gemara. The Gemara in Masechet Yoma 22, folio 2, tell us that why Dafka the war had to be in a river. And the Gemara, they're bringing the law of Egla Arufa. What is Egla Arufa? The law of Egla Arufa, I don't know how to say it in English. Anyone know how to say it in English? Egla Arufa. So I'll explain what is Egla Arufa, maybe it's going to come to you. Egla Arufa, that they used to take cow to the valley, to the river, and they used to chop a head. What does it mean? There is a law that Hazal tell us, if a body been found next to a city, but no one know who killed that deceased, what did they do? They measure from the deceased, from the body, to the closest city. Whichever closest city was, they're obligated to take a cow, to take it to the river, and then they have to slaughter her there. That's called Egla Arufa. He said that here, that to remind Shaul HaMelech that there is the law of Egla Arufa. The same like Amalek killed people when they came out of Egypt. Who was those people? The nation of Israel, some of the nation of Israel. Don't forget that law that you have to fight with him and don't give him a chance. Another explanation that the Mefarshim explain, who also fought in a river? Which hour one of the forefathers fought in a river? That was Yaakov Avinu. When Yaakov Avinu gone to collect the jar at night, he crossed Ma'avar Yabok, the river of Yabok. In Ma'avar Yabok, the angel of Esav Rasha, his angel came to fight with Yaakov Avinu, if you don't forget. That means to remind you again, King Saul, Amalek is from the descendants of Esav. Don't have mercy, don't have any compassion on him. Remember what's happened with your forefathers, that they didn't have compassion and mercy? You have to annihilate them. And that's why the prophet mentioned and put an emphasis on that King Saul fight with them in a river, in a Nile, in a stream, whatever you want to call it. Nahal is a river, a valley, whatever. Let's go to verse 6. In verse 6, it's something very interesting happening here. Very, very interesting. And we have to understand what's happening here. ויאמר שאול אל הקיני, לכו, סורו, רדו מתוך העמלקי. פן, אספך עמו, ואתה עשית חסד עם כל בני ישראל, בעלותם ממצרים. ויסור הקיני מתוך העמלק.
Go, withdraw, descend from among the Amalekite, lest I destroy you with them. For you acted kindly to all the children of Israel when they went up from Egypt. So the Kenite withdrew from among Amalek.
What's happening here? Here the prophet telling us that King Saul born to the family of Mishpahat Akini. Okay? Let's call it the nation of the Kini. Please, you're sitting amongst, or you're sitting together with the Amalekim, the nation of Amalek. I want you to leave them. I want you to separate from them. Move away from them. Because when I go to war with them, I don't want to kill any one of them. So King Saul gone to the nation of the Kini and tell them to leave the Amalekim. Why? The prophet said that when the children of Israel was in a wilderness, okay, you helped them, you done kindness with them. What kindness the nation of the Kini done with the nation of Israel in a wilderness? So the Mefarshim explains something extraordinary. The Mefarshim explain, first of all, let's understand who's the Mishpahat Kini, who's the nation of Kini. So the family of Kini, the nation of Kini is from the descendants of Yitro. You remember Yitro, the father-in-law of Moshe Rabbeinu? And he done a kindness. What kindness? He done a kindness with the Jewish people when there was in a wilderness, that Yitro given advice to Moshe Rabbeinu to appoint judges to judge the Jewish people. Because if not, Moshe Rabbeinu, you're going to collapse with that kind of stress. And as a leader, the nation needs you. Therefore, appoint other judges to help you to judge the Jewish people. That's one idea. Another interpretation that the people bring, that Shaul HaMelech have to go to the nation of the Kini and to ask them to leave the Amalekim, very simple, that the world wouldn't say, look, the Jewish people fighting with Amalek, and amongst them, they killed innocent people. Isn't that sounds very, very familiar? No? We'll see a lot of familiar thing I'm going to bring later on to what's happening now to this war. That the nation going to say, listen, you help them in the wilderness. You are from the descendants of Yitro. And he was the father-in-law of Moshe Rabbeinu. He gave an advice to Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu actually was his shepherd. He grown up in a house of Yitro. And look what they're doing. Look how ungrateful they are. They don't know how to show gratitude. Therefore, said a prophet to Shaul, please tell the Kini that they have to separate from who? From Amalek. Otherwise, going to be a problem. Okay, what's happened? In a matter of fact, the nation of the Kini, the family of the Kini, moved away from Amalek. Okay, they're going to stand in different places. In verse 7, let's see what the prophet telling us. ויך שאול את עמלק מחבילה בואכה שור, אשר על פני מצרים.
Saul struck down Amalek from Havilah to the approach to Shur, which is alongside Egypt. Sure.
What's happening in this verse? The prophet telling us that King Saul, when he started to fight the war with the nation of Amalek, he actually started the war very well. He killed the nation of Amalek. He killed them in a very serious way. That means that it was an attack of quick killing, a lot of help and miracle from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And where it was? Close to Egypt. Rabotai, let's stop for a minute and let's think about what's happened. 7th of October, 2023. Hamas, the Islamic Jihad, and many Gazian, that they are Amalek, attacking who? Jewish people, innocent Jewish people. The Israeli Defense Force took him a bit of time, defend, and immediately from defense, they go to a strike and they attacked the Gazian. Where is Gaza? Rabotai? Very close to Egypt. The Philadelphia Channel, the road of Philadelphia.
The corridor, yes.
That's the corridor that separates between Gaza and Egypt, the corridor of the Philadelphia. Just something for us to think, to have in mind. שלמה המלך זה, אין חדש תחת השמש. מה שהיה, זה מה שיהיה. What did Shlomo HaMelech say? אין חדש תחת השמש. Nothing new under the sun. Whatever was, that will be. And we see. Let's go to verse 8. ויתפוס את אגג, מלך עמלק חי, ואת כל העם החרים לפי חרב.
Right, sorry. Okay.
Verse 8.
Yes. He captured Agag, the king of Amalek, alive, and the entire people he destroyed by the edge of the sword.
Here we see that the prophet putting emphasis that King Saul killed all the nation of Amalek by the sword, by the point of the sword, the sharpness of the sword. But he put a lot of emphasis on. Look what he said. Vayitfos et Agag melech Amalek hai. He captured the king of the nation of Amalek that called Agag, kept him alive. Remember that. That's a very important point that we have to speak about it later. In verse 9, look what the prophet saying. ויחמול שאול והעם על אגג, ועל מיטב הצאן והבקר והמשמנים, ועל הכרים ועל כל הטוב, ולא עברו החרימם, וכל המלך. נמזמה ונמס אותה החרימה.
Saul, as well as the people, took pity on Agag, on the best of the sheep, the cattle, the fatted bulls, the fatted sheep, and on all that was good. And they were not willing to destroy them. But the inferior and the wretched livestock, that they did destroy.
Pshat of the Dvarim, Rabotai, remember that. Pshat of the Dvarim, that they kept Agag alive. The flock that didn't look good, that looked skinny, they destroyed them, they killed them. But the flock and the animal that was fat, that was strong, that was good, they kept them alive. Let's go back.
Yeah.
What the prophet told them. Don't have any mercy, not on a human being, for man and woman, young and adult. You kill them all. The animal, you also obligate to kill him. We explain why. What happened? Shaul made already the second mistake. The first mistake, Gag, that he killed all the Amalekim, but Agag he kept alive. Second mistake is the flock, the animal that he didn't kill. Let's see what the prophet telling him in verse 10 and 11. וידבר אדוני אל שמואל לאמור. ניחמתי כי המלכתי את שאול למלך, כי שב מאחריי, ואת דבריי לא יקים. ויחר לשמואל ויזעק אל אדוני כל הלילה.
The word of Hashem then came to Samuel, saying, I have reconsidered my having made Saul king, for he has turned away from me and has not fulfilled my word. Samuel was aggrieved, and he cried out to Hashem the entire night.
פשט of the דברים, הקדוש ברוך הוא came to the prophet and tell him, listen, I know that I chose King Saul as a king, but King Saul didn't listen to me, didn't obey my words, didn't listen to my command, because he didn't kill Agag, he didn't kill the animals. Okay? I'm not happy with him. Then the prophet say that all of that night he cried to the Almighty. The Metzudot David say that here the prophet Samuel daven to the Almighty all night that the Almighty will forgive King Saul, because the prophets realized the replication that there is from that act. The accountability that he have on Saul, it's going to affect him, that he's going to die young. Number two, Saul going to lose his kingdom. He's not going to be any more king. Basically, he lost his crown. The prophet davened all night to the Almighty. But the Almighty, please God, forgive the king. But the Almighty didn't accept that davening. Verse 12, וישכם שמואל לקראת שאול בבוקר, ויוגד לשאול לאמור, בא שאול לכרמלה, והנה מציב לו יד, ויסוף ויעבור וירד הגלגל.
Samuel arose early in the morning to meet Saul. It had been told to Samuel, saying, Saul came to the Carmel, and he set out himself a place, was for an altar. He turned and descended to Gilgal.
Okay, what's happening here? The prophet described that he wake up early in the morning to meet the king, but King Saul already was in the Carmel. The Carmel that he's talking here is not the Carmel of Haifa. Carmel, when you mention Carmel, usually it's in the city of Haifa, but that's not the same place. The Carmel that it's mentioned here, it's somewhere in the south of Eretz Israel. Shaul gone down to the Gilgal. That's what the prophet been told, and he follow him to the Gilgal. Where is the Gilgal? Gilgal is south of Eretz Israel, next to the city of Arad. Arad, it's right in the south, okay? That's where the prophet have to go. The Metzudat David explained why the king changed and he gone to the Gilgal. What was so important? The Metzudat David explained because there King Saul wanted to divide the spoil, to spread the spoil amongst the Jewish people. He wanted to give the spoil to all the Jewish people, to divide the spoil that they took from the Amalekim. That's what's happened. Rabotai, I think that the time now is 9 o'clock, or we have one more minute, so I don't know, should we do one more? Let's do verse 13, and that's where we stop, although we made more, prepared more, but that's where we're going to stop. In verse 13, we see something very interesting. ויבוא שמואל אל שאול, ויאמר לו, שאול, ויאמר לו שאול, ברוך אתה לאדוני, הקימותי את דבר אדוני.
Verse 14.
13, 1, 3.
13, yes, sorry. When Samuel came to Saul, Saul said to him, Blessed are you to Hashem. I have fulfilled the word of Hashem. Samuel said, And what is the sound of the sheep in my ears? And the sound of the cattle that I hear?
Yeah, so you read 13 and 14, we'll do them both. Okay, good. In verse 13, the prophet described when he gone towards the Gilgal and he meeting with the King Saul. The prophet here that King Saul actually welcomed him and blessed him in the name of the Almighty. And he said to him, in your merit, I managed to fulfill the command of the Almighty to annihilate the nation of Amalek and I succeeded. And verse 14, here the prophet saying to the king, Saul, what is those noise that I hear? What is those noise in the background? Is that the command the Almighty told you to do? Is that the command that the Almighty told you to annihilate the entire flock, the entire animal of the Amalekim? That here basically the prophet saying to Shaul, if I'm not mistaken, the noise that I hear in a Gilgal, the noise that I hear is the flock of the Amalekim, the animal of the Amalekim. About here we're going to stop. I took 2 minutes over time, and we have to understand what's happening. I would like to summarize what's happening until now, that here we see that Akadosh Baruch Hu given another chance to King Saul. Here we see that Akadosh Baruch Hu allowed him again to continue to be king and given him a different command. And those commands been told by Shaul. It's told by Shmuel to Shaul. Shmuel Hanavi, the prophet Samuel, to King Saul. But again, Shaul didn't fulfill the command of Akadosh Baruch Hu. That means that Akadosh Baruch Hu have a lot of patience. Akadosh Baruch Hu doesn't punish a person when he do the first mistake. He given him another chance. Shaul HaMelech fulfilled and didn't succeed to fulfill the command. He failed basically. And here Akadosh Baruch Hu said, that's it. Now that you didn't obey my command, you didn't fulfill my command, you failed to do what I tell you, I changed my mind about you. So what do we learn from here, Rabotai? We learn that Akadosh Baruch Hu show us that he has patience. He doesn't punish immediately. But we have to learn also that Akadosh Baruch Hu given us a chance. But we can't think that all the time Akadosh Baruch Hu will allow us to sin, and then we say we make a mistake. No. You have to take responsibility for your action. That's what we learn from that verse so far. Be'ezrat Hashem, next week we'll go through, we'll explain more in depth why did Shaul HaMelech done wrong when he brought the king of Agag life. He meant well, we'll explain what he planned to do. He have a good meaning behind it. And if you listen to his idea, it's actually a wonderful idea. But it was a disaster. Because when HaKadosh Baruch Hu tell us something, he knows better than us. But unfortunately, as human beings, we think that we're more clever. And we can tell HaKadosh Baruch Hu how to run his world. That's where HaKadosh Baruch Hu tell us, I'll give you a chance. I'll give you a chance. When you've done it on a third time, it's finished. The first time when he didn't listen to the Korban, that he didn't wait for the prophet. The second time was with the flock, with the animal. The third time with the king of Agag. So you learn from here halacha, Rabotai, and Chazal bringing it, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for the first time, he doesn't punish when a person done wrong. Second time, you have patience. But the third time, he punish you not only for the third time, for the first, the second, and the third. That's the message from this, what we learned so far. Rabotai, if you have any question, please ask. Do ask.